we done the random scan display.
Up to random scan display that you said. That means
like number 16. Yes, sir.
We have stopped in here somewhere, right?
Yes, yes.
That is about the vector display. Have we explained that, or just quickly we explain maybe?
Quickly explain.
Okay. And what are the topic that we have covered?
So the frame buffer, we have discussed about the frame buffer, then bitmap, pixmap, and discuss about interlaced scan display and random scan display.
Okay, so we discussed about frame buffer, right?
Yes, sir.
It's actually also the depth of the frame buffer.
Yes, sir.
That also we have discussed. Okay, yes, that I can remember. So, Ashik, can you tell me about depth of the frame buffer, how we can actually identify it? Ashikujaman Ashik. Ashikujaman Ashik, can you hear me? I think you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. Khadija Rahman Ria. Ria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me about the depth of the frame buffer? We already know what is frame buffer, right?
Yes, sir.
Then what actually, what does that mean about depth of the frame buffer? What actually it is? Yes, Ria?
Sorry, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Nisha Tara?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Nishat. What about the depth of the frame buffer? What do you think? Depth of the frame buffer?
I don't know.
Okay. Muntakimur Rahman? Muntakim?
Yes.
Yes. What do you think about depth of the frame buffer?
Frame buffer is the number that bit used for each pixel in a display.
Frame buffer is the number of? Say again, means number of bits, okay, and which is allocated for each pixel, right? So for that's actually the depth. Yes, if I have say like a 6-bit depth frame buffer, that means actually every pixel can have 6 bits for from the memory that can be allocated, and the number of color is possible for that pixel would be, the range is 2 to the power 6. That many color is actually possible to actually generate. That's actually the depth of the frame buffer that we have said. This is also relevant with actually the depth of the color. Whenever we say like this display device has the color depth is that means color depth is 16. That means actually it is indicating that every pixel of that device can have highest 2 to the power 16 number of colors. Okay, any one of that, but the range is actually 2 to the power 16 number of the colors. That's actually the depth of the color or depth of the frame buffer that actually it meant. And yes, Pratasha?
Sir, I have a confusion that we 2 to the power 8 means the range or the number of colors that each pixel have.
each pixel can have one of the color of that many colors range. Means whenever you said 8-bit depth, that means 2 to the power 8 means actually for every pixel definitely cannot have one pixel multiple color, right? At the same moment,
Yes, sir.
it can have actually one of the color of that. Now the range, how many possible color are actually possible you can actually have in your pixel? That's actually said the depth. So whenever I have a 2-bit depth, that means only 4 color is possible. When I say a 3-bit depth, then only 8 color is possible, right? So like this way actually, so you can have any one of the color of that 8. So you can see that whenever the numbers are high, then a different colors possibility are high. And different colors possibility is high means actually the more realistic image that you can actually have, more shade you can have actually, that every color change is just mixing with the light. So if we have say like only 3 colors, red, green and blue, you can see that it is in the combination with the proportion of that actually you can have the many different colors. Okay, we'll see that that is also related with the color value incoming, that what is color value and what is color depth. But this is color depth, that means actually that much or that many color you can have on your pixel, right, Pratasha?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we said about bitmap, pixmap. This is just for terminology, that 1 bit depth is
visual
bitmap,
graphics,
and multiple bit depth is actually pixmap. Refresh rate also we have discussed. Refresh rate, what can say about refresh rate? Tariqul Islam, can you hear me? Tariqul Islam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Tariq. What about refresh rate? So like I have a device that's refresh rate is 80 Hertz. What do you mean by that?
Sir.
Okay, Muhammad Alamin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Alamin. What about if I? Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I have a device like 80 Hertz, the refresh rate.
Yes,
What do you mean by that?
Sir, it means that in 1 second it can refresh in 18 times.
What do you mean by refresh?
Sir, it can go through the whole the process in 1 second.
Yeah, that's the process I'm actually want to know. What is the process? It will be 80 times, but what will be 80 times actually? In a second.
Sir, it will refresh the information.
It will redraw the picture.
Refresh the information, definitely that is not, because that is more like a diplomatic answer.
So redraw the picture.
Redraw the picture, right?
Sir, 80 frames
80 frames
per second.
It's actually 80 number of time in a second it is capable to redraw the picture.
Yes.
Okay. Now redrawing means actually what? Because as you are actually, when engineering level, you have to go as much as deep you can go. Now redrawing activity, how it happens? Redrawing activity happens, your information for the image, that data has been stored, and that is stored in frame buffer. The processor take those information and actually give the signal on the basis of it, so that your gun or whatever the mechanism of the display you have, that can be actually done in 80 times in a second, so that you can actually see that image is read. So what is the reason of having this redrawing activity?
To avoid flicker.
To avoid the flicker, right? So how do you define the flicker?
The gap between two images.
Exactly, 2 frames actually, not 2 images, 2 frames. Okay, so the gap. Definitely when it is redrawing, we can understand for a fraction of a moment, at least we have a gap. So that when we are actually redrawing means actually that we try to avoid as much as flicker can happen or our brain can actually perceive. So this is also related with our experience, how we actually visualize the image so that we can actually feel like there is a gap. Okay. And this is actually that rasters can display interlacing for that is odd and even cycle it has, that we say. Now random scan display we discussed about for the vector display. As we know that vector mechanism is quite different, right? So we discussed this one. I mean we explained that one with this diagram.
Sir, you have given a short description about it.
All right, we are going to start from here. Then let us actually do the attendance. You please come to the video for a while. All right, Alif Laila Jannat.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you come on day for yesterday, Jannat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ashikur Rahman Ashik and Nishad Ara. Okay, Nishad. Saidul Islam Antu.
Present, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sumaya. Arifa Akhtar Ritu.
Present, sir.
Okay, Ritu, just a minute. Do you, for your semester, is it the proposal presentation will be held in
No,
art
sir.
or
No,
it is the earlier one, right?
yes, sir.
You guys have started spring 21.
21, sir.
Spring 21. That is your semester purposes. Okay, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Jinatul Nessa.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jinat Parvez Alom.
Present, sir.
Parvez Redwan Ratul. Redwan Ratul. Salbi Sabah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sabah. Jakaria Hassan Pappu. Jakaria Hassan Pappu. Maria Mehjabin.
Present, sir.
Okay, Maria Israt Jarin. Israt Jarin. Abdul Khalek. Muhammad Abdul Khalek. Rabina Afrin Ami.
Yes, sir.
Rabina, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. The sound is very low, I could not hear it. Taznova Yasin Esha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Esha, what happened day before yesterday?
Sir, I was sick, sir. That's it.
How are you now?
Sir, fine.
Fine, okay. All right. Shariar Tayon. Shariar Tayon. Hussein Ahmed Antar.
Present, sir.
Okay, Antar. Pruttasha Roy. Pruttasha Roy. What happened to Pruttasha?
Yes, sir.
He's present.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
She was present. Sharnika.
Yes, sir.
Khadija Ria.
Present, sir.
Khadija Ria. Ria, are you there?
Yes, sir. Present, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah. Rahat Islam Rupu.
Present, please, sir.
Are you there, Rupu?
Yes, sir. Present, please.
Yeah, get it. Mahmoud Akhtar.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mahmoud. Didar Al Mahmoud.
Present, sir.
Yes, Didar, what is the condition to you? Like, you are having some frequent absences.
Sir, it is better, sir, now, sir.
Yeah, what about your video?
Sir, my webcam has some issues, sir. I'll fix it in next class, sir.
All right. Now, what was the reason you were absent in last class, right?
Sir, I was sick, sir. That's why I was absent in few before classes, but last class, sir, I couldn't wake up in time, sir.
All right. Yeah. I started to go through about the cumulative attendance of the students. So I think you are having some problem in the number of actually attendance. So that's why just nothing. Okay. Tamanna
I'll try to
Tabassum.
improve, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Tamanna Tabassum.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tabassum. Said Mahmoud Sifat. Sifat, you are still connected? Charji is there?
So he has network issues, sir. He called me.
He doesn't have network issue. He wrote me that electricity is not there in the morning, so his phone is actually running out of the charge. So I just suggested him that he should get prepared before night actually to give it sufficient charge or something. Anyway, Fairuj Tanjim Achul.
Yes, sir.
Sadia Tunis Shetuli.
Yes, sir.
Shetuli. Mustafa Iram Uday.
Present, sir.
Okay, Uday. Sadia Hussein Mauri.
Present, sir.
Mauri. Sadia Akhtar. Sadia Akhtar. She is consecutive absent. Mantakimur Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mantakimur. Atik Faisal Limon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Limon. Rahul Debnath.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rahul. Nishat Taslim
Yes, sir.
Jyoti. Okay, Jyoti. Sadat Mahmud Khan. Sadat Mahmud Khan. Firdaus Hassan Rifat.
Yes, sir.
Rifat.
Yes, sir.
Haja Minhaj Monique.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Minhaj. Nahida Islam.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nahida. Hasibul Hassan Shanto. Hasibul Hassan Shanto.
Yes, sir.
Where are you, Shabda? I could not see you. Hasibul Hassan Shanto.
Sir.
I could not see you. Just can you tell me that why you were absent in the last class? Yes, Shanto? Hasibul Hassan Shanto.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why you are switching off your or muting your microphone and everything? Right? What about your attendance in the last class? What happened? You see that I'm trying almost handling 150 students. So few students, whenever you get frequent absences, that at least I can remember. So do you have some issue for attendance? Anything wrong? Anything wrong? Anything to say?
No, sir.
Okay, please try to recorrect. Okay, what is necessary to do. If you have any problem, you let me know. All right. Okay. Sharmin Sultana.
Yes, sir.
Sharmin, are you there?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
I cannot see you. That's why it's not coming on the screen.
Sir, I have some problem. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. Ryan Hussain.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ryan. Al Amin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Amin. Tariqul Islam.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tariq. And Ashikuজ্জামান.
Yes, sir.
What happened, Ashik? I was calling your name.
Sir, I went outside for a while. That's why. Khala came to ask what we need
Okay.
to cook today.
All right. That's also necessary. As we are actually doing from home, so that can happen anyway. So we have Sadat, Sadia, Toyon, Abdul Khalek, Isra Jain, Zakaria Papu, Ratul. Okay, 7 students are absent. That's fine. Let us start with random scan display. We said the vector scan display. Can you remember that what was the specialty of the vector graphics whenever we are actually comparing this classification? Ashik?
Sir, vectography is the mathematical forms are used to draw lines and shape,
Yeah.
which are then interpreted at the viewers and into produce the graphics.
All right. So you said mathematical components have been used for drawing, right? So you can see here that just having a comparison of this diagram and comparing with this diagram. Both of the cases they are drawing maybe a triangle, and triangle is nothing just a shape here. Okay, so that shape has been created in that image. The raster scan display device for that scanning process, that gun we are talking about, actually the CRT capability, like cathode ray tube if we use, then what type of actually devices, how they work, the working process for it. So the electron gun actually throw the electrons and they started to paint from left to right, and it goes on up to the entire image and they come back again for maybe redrawing activity. We have seen that in actually real life with the video, right? That Mario game that guy was playing. And when in a slow motion camera, it is actually visible that in the screen how it is painting from left to right and row by row in every cases. Now, when it is in the vector graphics for drawing a same actually image, say like a triangle, then how the electron beam works. That's actually in the vector display that we can find out. And you can see here the instruction set here for this actually image drawing graphic. That means in the frame buffer, this information for that image will be stored. So the processor will take this information and give the signal according to that signal that electron beam will paint that one. How they have done it? Say that first they've thrown the beam on a specific location, 300, 800. What are they, 300, 800?
The coordinates.
The coordinates, exactly. And the coordinates has been defined with the origin point on the top corner, topmost corner on the left. This is actually the origin point. Okay, so this is go for x axis, this is go for y axis, not as like in the graph. Okay, as the graph paper we have actually on the always have on the bottom that origin point, that x and y coordinate we count, but here actually on the digital devices always they count actually on the top, on the corner. So if it is 300 x coordinate and 800 y coordinate, so the point is actually in here. So electron beam first actually plot on that point, then it says draw a line, so line to 700, 800, so that from here they draw the line 700 to 800. So it comes in here 700 as like x coordinate value and 800 for the y coordinate value. And then it says again line to 500 to 300. So it goes like 500 for a little bit, this is 700, so definitely somewhere in here. So it comes in here, and 300, so that in the y coordinate value goes decreased in here. So the point is like there. Then again the drawing the line for 300, 800, coming back to that point. So line is 300, 800. So that beam actually painted those three lines sequentially according to the command, and the image has been created. So the entire process in the vector display is quite different, and you use actually the mathematical primitives. The lines are actually, or points are actually mathematical primitives, the geometrical primitives. So electron beam is directed only to parts of the screen where the picture is to be drawn. And we said also that that's the nature of that random, that's why it's called. The random, we know that it doesn't follow any sequence. It's randomly. It's actually without any specific pattern. It goes in different places, so that it will be directed according to the skin, where according to the different parts, and following some line drawing or point drawing commands. Okay. Now this commands is stored, could be in XY or XYZ in 2 or 3 dimension endpoint coordinates, and as well as character plotting command as well. It can have maybe some character symbol can be also drawn. And the refresh rate related with that how many time it will be redrawn. That is actually the answer, because all parts at least, otherwise our brain can get the flicker. But the mechanism is different for the vector display, so that number is actually also different. So it depends on the number of lines to be displayed to avoid the, so that 30 times at least it can actually check, and that's why 30 hertz. Now they can design to draw the lines of a picture 30 to 60 times per second. So the highest range has been given like 60 times per second. More than 60 if it is, then actually there is a chance of burning the phosphor. Okay, so as you can understand, this is actually a little bit more powerful way to actually drawing mechanism is. And then if it is more than 60 times in a second it try to redraw, then there are chances of the phosphor on the screen could actually burn out. Okay, so that's actually says that 60 is actually the highest range. And the high quality vector systems are capable of handling approximately 100,000 lines at this refresh. So you can understand a high quality, this CRT based vector display, they can draw 100,000 lines in one image and can be redrawn highest up to 60 times per second. So that how complex that image can be, or maybe the capability of it. And there are line drawing application. You can understand the nature of the image that they are drawing are actually line drawing application. And there are actually, for this one is no color, no specialty, but actually some color devices, they have the color, but it is very limited. That's why they cannot actually create the real life image. That means the shade. And for that limitation of that color, so that's why it is not also popular. Maybe for some special purpose, a vector display can be used. Okay. So this is about the vector display or random scan processing. Okay, so you can remember that raster scan processing and random scan processing. Now you tell me that what do you feel this diagram about? Because maybe I can give you a diagram like that in your exam, in the written exam, and ask you to explain the generation technique of it. So from the at the very beginning, you can understand this.
So in the Adobe Illustrator, we most use the random scan or the ideal line drawing. So
that's for say like logo designing, or maybe you do the structural designing first, right? Then you go for it. So from here, you can very first understand the dot indicating maybe the dot matrix, right? That means actually the raster scanning process. That means the pixel wise that illumination. And if we go for it, that arrow indicating there may be vector from where to where actually they have been drawn, it has been also been shown. So it is maybe a random or vector scanning, right? So very easily you can identify. Now, what sort of other actually comment you can do about those two images? This is actually they wanted to draw the ideal line drawing. It's been saying here. So what other comments you can make about this two diagram? Anyone?
So in the raster scan, we can say the path is basically defined by the pixels. So we will draw the picture by the pixels. So the path will be created for with the pixels. But in the random scan or the ideal line drawing, we will select the path with the coordinates or the as a specific line.
Yeah, Uday, that's absolutely right. But can you tell me that what possible? This is the house with the crescent moon. That that image. What kind of information in the frame buffer for this image we have?
Okay.
In the frame buffer, yes, Uday.
Yes, sir.
That what kind of information is stored for it?
So we have some flicker there because I think
No, flicker is more related with the refresh rate, that
okay,
whether
sir.
we are going to find any
Yeah.
gap between the frame or not. That is different. But for generating this image, the
Yes.
processor, what actually the basic information it get from the memory for that image? What actually you think? What kind of information it can be? We already discussed about it. That's why I'm actually asking.
Okay, sir.
The information means actually that file content, what it should be
Yeah.
for that file content. So when you click any image on your
Yes, sir.
computer,
Yes, sir.
that is actually stored somewhere, and
Yes,
what
sir.
actually the information is stored there. So the processor in a fraction of a second actually execute that one on your display.
So all the pixel numbers, and the color. Is it grayscale or is it more than one color or two color?
Okay,
And
we just consider that it could be any color or anything. Say like if this is black and white, we can see, but consider it is actually red color house and the blue color moon, right? Then maybe we consider two different colors on this pixel. But the main thing is that entire image, whatever the pixel we have,
yes,
say
sir.
like 5,000 pixel we have, every pixel's color value will be stored,
Yes, sir.
so that whenever actually the say like this is a CRT display, so that electron beam, the 3 electron beam maybe just continuously go through
The
on those
intensity of
pixel
the color,
whenever they
sir.
will come, on the pixel whenever they will come, that is specific value of the color, according to that they will have actually the signal. So end of the day we can see that image, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is only the color value for the all pixel will be stored on the memory.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's fine. Now, who can tell about the random scan, that how it is can be drawn? Shetuli, can you tell me? Shetuli, Sadia,
Yes, sir.
Shetuli, yes, you are there. So, what about this image on the right hand side? How we can draw it?
Uh, by some pixel.
By some pixel? No, pixel we have used in here on the raster scan, but we just said in the random scan or the vector scan, right? You see the how we have drawn that triangle. So for drawing
Yes,
a
sir.
house, what kind of information or command or whatever we need?
Uh, sorry,
What?
sir.
Okay, what actually we may gauge actually, that is actually I'm asking.
Sir, we store the commands.
We store the commands as like this, as you
Yes,
can
sir.
see, right?
Yes, sir.
So as just now we have discussed about raster scan, that every pixel's color value will be stored, so that gun will take that information and send the signal accordingly. This one will be, as you said, Pratasha, that the commands maybe that move to that point, then draw a
Yes, sir.
line
Line to
that
join
point,
at
the
that.
line to that point, so that point coordinate points, end coordinate points of those primitives can be asked, so that actually you can draw. Okay, you can draw those specific shape. Okay, now, okay, I am coming back again. Fairuz Tanjim Achal. Achal, can you tell me which one looks good? Fairuz Tanjim Achal. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Achal. So which one looks good to you?
Sir, ideal drawing.
No, that is actually our two generating process will generate a image like that. So that is different. Our main discussion between these two. So between these two, which one you like?
Sir, random scan.
Random is on the right hand side, that one, right?
Yes, sir.
Then why we do use most of the time with the raster scan or raster display? What is the reason?
Uh,
Do you have any specific reason so that actually we use raster scan? We don't use the random scan display mostly.
Sir, the raster is generating is very easy and time is
Generating is very
Sir,
easy.
in raster scan, we get the realistic shade very easily, and in
That's
random
actually,
scan.
you can see the last line, it says they are very good. This vector display, especially or random display, is very good for drawing the lines, or maybe what you do the outline, isn't it? Many diagram has the outline or design, but whenever it comes about the images of the realistic images with multiple colors or different color combination, then this is really very poor. It is not possible actually generate in many colors. So the real life image is not possible. That's why the raster scan, that pixel based display is actually the more common. Anyway, so I think these are actually the analytical discussion you can have after learning the two type of this image generation technique. Also actually what possible information you may need for drawing that one. So the processor can access which is stored in the memory. So those are actually the discussion. So whenever you take preparation, you also actually just think about the diagram. So may I ask you in the Viva, or maybe especially in the written exam, that you may make a comparison. You may have to compare actually from an abstract question. Okay, so I'll not ask you just define between raster scan and random scan in the question. So every will write down the same thing, but I'll give you a different actually question so that you may analyze and can find out the difference from the dot, from the line drawing, from the instruction, that what kind of instruction you have in the memory and so on. Okay. All right. Let's move to color one. Yes. Yes. Who has question? Mantagimo, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, in raster display, the frame will load the value, pixel value pixel value from the picture data. So as the different display has different
Resolution.
different resolution. So how that uh, frame buffer represent the pixel for each value?
How does the frame buffer rephrasing or redrawing?
Redrawing.
They are constantly redrawing the same image as long as actually you have the instruction, because it is say like this image I can see, right? That slide, as you can find. That image constantly displaying 60 times on the screen. Every of the cases, as much my movement of the mouse, that most of the image for this slide is actually the pixels are defined in the same color that has been actually drawing continuously. Do you understand? Now it depends up to actually the instruction what is actually stored for that file. So that a video content, you have seen that it is always very big actually size. It takes quite a lot of memory, so that so many information for every pixel in every moment that it has, it is actually changed over the time. But in a static image or something like that, we have documents, those are actually very less actually number of memory it takes, because the pixels are almost static to define with the color. Do you understand, Mantakim? I'm not sure that that is the question, because your question was not very clear, because you said about the mechanism of the processor, maybe about the redrawing.
My question was, as the resolution is different, so how the frame buffer load the data, as the according to the display that there is frame buffer in RAM, so that how same data we use for same computer display, so the same data load in the same different frame buffer according to the resolution, display resolution. So how they represent as the resolution is different. My question is that
Resolution doesn't have any effect in this case, because at the very beginning, when we are opening an image, that image has a resolution, and that resolution set out with the screen. My resolution is 1000 by 1000. Say I am actually opening an image 500 by 500. So whenever it is opening, it actually adjusted 500 by 500. It is not 1000 by 1000.
According to the display, their frame buffer is stored, or
the frame buffer is memory, just like a bank where you keep the money.
Is in RAM.
Right? Someone has actually 1 crore in bank. Someone has 1000 in bank. So it is not a problem. So the processor, as long as actually it's showing that image A is resolution 500 into 500. So that time the screen is actually having all those boxes in 500 into 500. The pixel information is 500 to 500, and it's continuously doing the refresh rate, redrawing. Okay. As whenever it is changing to another image, then again it is doing for the same kind of activity for that second image. And resolution is, for a screen resolution, there is a highest resolution has been defined, that it is actually that level it can be shown. But it may change over the images. That's why some image low resolution you can see the image is not good, some image high resolution you can see the image is good. And so what is the conflicting? I'm not actually very sure. Was that your question or something else?
Sir, I think I will clear back then.
No, you just make me understand that what actually your question is. Say like if we, you just let me know that what actually you meant. I have a display device here, okay, and here is actually my memory. In memory, the image I have, say like A is an image which is having actually resolution 50 into 40, right? Now this image display is actually have resolution 100 into 100, say, is capable of the resolution. If you have a problem with the resolution, I'm not very sure, because you said about refresh rate as well. Now here is the processor, and that processor actually take the information about that image. You just clicked in here, maybe that A will be open now, and that goes to the information of the processor then actually send it and take the information from the frame buffer, and that actually according to that it actually showing in the screen with that A, with that 50 and 40 display, okay, 50 and 40 that resolution. Now the thing is the refresh rate when it comes, as it is actually we should avoid the flicker, so 60 times it is been drawing. The processor is actually sending the signal and the gun is actually sending it actually 60 times in a second. It is redrawing. Now when you go for a second another image, then actually it's been changing, and whatever the resolution the second image can have, say like that is 80 into 80, that actually has been showing that time with 80 and 80, and it has been constantly actually doing the refreshing of it. Now if it is actually moving images, so that still you know that even the movie or film or whatever you see, all are actually static images, and they come in more frequently and create the animation. That is the actually basic idea of that animation, because nothing actually moves. Even in your brain as well, everything is actually static. Means 1,000 images coming in a second, and that make a motion. so that you can see the image is moving. You are watching me that I am actually moving. You can see me in a second, maybe a few hundred of the frames of me. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now you tell me where actually you have your question about the refresh rate or the resolution.
I thought that when a picture have 1540 resolution, we can use that data for represent the in or 60 or 80 resolution. Same picture. I thought that.
Same picture in the resolution. No, resolution is adjustable up to that range. Okay. So that we definitely, otherwise what happened, a low quality file cannot be seen in 100 and 100, right? Because it has been defined in that way. This is such a dynamic area of your screen, the resolution. It is not fixed, right? The resolution is not fixed. The resolution is highest range has been given. The range has been given to your operating system when you install. You have seen when they install the graphics display, by default they take the standard one that the common actually picture can have, maybe up to that. And if it is actually a very higher range, you see that it takes time to actually load on your computer. Some image still needs actually load to your computer. There is also network issue if it is an internet. Means through the online, that if you load an image very high resolution, because I have seen some resolution, some high quality picture from NASA that they actually produce, because they show in the screen which is almost like a one side of the wall actually, that screen image. That image, when we actually convert that for the computer that we see, it definitely in the computer, that many number of pixels they do adjust in their highest level. So that's why it takes time to load on. Okay. But in the lower range of those resolution, they actually come as they are. That's why some picture look good, some picture are not. All right. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to color CRT. We discussed so far the basic structure of the CRT, that it has a gun and we can actually see it. I think the time is up. So in the color CRT, only the difference is not a single gun. That's actually that RGB gun, the primary colors, that red, green, and blue. And they goes through those electron beams with a metal mask. You can see here there is a metal mask which is called the shadow mask. And this gun, the basic objective for this gun with this mask is, you can see the dot on the mask are actually aligned with the dot on the screen of those phosphor, so that on the screen they have actually the triangle shape, because red, green, and blue. Now we are going in the sub-pixel level. Okay, as far we have discussed only in a general way that in this any of the discussion, like individual pixel and one of the gun, but actually color display we have actually 3 gun, red, green, and blue, and they are actually also throwing that electron beam through that mask on the specific that red, green, and blue. You see that red, green, and blue of those dots, and in this diagram as well, they create a triangle shape. That's why it's called the triad. Okay, triad is coming from the triangle. So this the value for the green will give the intensity when it fall on that green spot, same like on the red or same like on the blue. Okay, so that color pictures by using the combination of phosphors that emit different color light, and combining the emitted light, that actually red, green, and blue, from different phosphor, a range of colors can be generated. The combination can have maybe the intensity value of them, either maybe if you want to see only green, then red and blue is actually off. There is nothing is there, only green we have. If we have only blue, red and green is not there, then only blue we can have. Maybe we can have the yellow or some other actually secondary colors, then the combination of their value it will be. So this value is actually the triple value. You can see here the 23, 14, and 51. So what do you think? Which intensity is high? The blue, isn't it? Then maybe the red, then green is actually low. So this 3 value combination can create a different color. So that subpixel level, these three combination can create a different color for the spot on the screen, what actually you can see. And that is actually called the color value that actually you can see. But whenever the color depth we will go, that depth is actually related with the number of bits. Okay, number of bits with the memory. So slightly different. That is not the same thing. Color depth and color value. Color value is triplet value, the intensity of red, green, and blue. Color depth is actually the combination of what color they can produce that has a number, and that certain number is actually related with the bit. So in one pixel in here, what are the memory are allocated, that number is related with the color depth. Okay. So in the exam, I think in the next class we're going to discuss about the true color, that how the bits are actually defined with the red, green, and blue. You can see that the 2 to the power 64 colors is possible for this example. But every pixel can have 64, any of the 64 color, because 2 bit are actually defined for each and every color gun. Okay. All right. Any question do you have? We are running actually very slow. By this time I wanted to finish this chapter actually, but somehow running a little bit low. Anyway, no question, then maybe I can see you on day after tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Or tomorrow you have no class, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah, Pratasha, if you, I think maybe I have a class now, so after that maybe you can give me a call.
Okay, sir.
All right. I
Yes,
think
sir.
in 10, what time it will be finished? 10:40?
Okay, sir.
All right. I will be a little bit busy. I have to go maybe university as well, and also have to
Sir,
go
if you
to...
have problem, then I will talk you later. It's
Yes, I
not a
think it would
problem.
be better. I'll be a little bit rushed in the first half actually. I also